Stop. Do not touch that button. This sudden urge to skip the video, to move on to the next piece of content, to close your phone right now, it is no coincidence. You have just fallen into an invisible trap that activates every time God tries to speak to you. And today, at this very moment, He is trying. The title of this video appeared to you for a reason. You passed by hundreds of other pieces of content today, saw thousands of thumbnails, and it was precisely this one that caught your eye. It wasn't the algorithm, it was the Lord. And if you ignore this message, it will come back, but it might be too late. In the next few minutes, I am going to show you 3 things happening in your life right now that are direct signs of God trying to warn you of something great. I will explain why you feel this unexplainable fatigue, this tightness in your chest when everything seems fine, and this strange sensation that something important is about to happen and you don't know what. And most importantly, I'm going to give you what to do today, this very day, so you don't miss what God has set aside for you. Because yes, He has set it aside. There are good things marked with your name: healing, opening of doors, financial deliverance, peace that you haven't felt in years. All of this is waiting. But there is a detail no one tells you. These gifts have a deadline. They pass by. And most people miss them because they are too distracted, too busy, too wounded to notice. If you felt a chill just now, if your eyes welled up, if your heart raced, that is the Spirit confirming it to you. Keep watching. Do not leave, because what comes next is the key that can change everything. And look, I know the weight of getting this far. I know you've tried everything. You prayed, you fasted, you asked, you cried in the middle of the night with your face in the pillow so as not to wake anyone. You wondered why it seems like blessings go to others and take so long to reach you. And now you are there watching this video, perhaps with the last drop of faith that still remains. I need to tell you something directly. That drop is enough. And look how interesting. While I was speaking just now, something inside you tried to pull you away from here. It tugged at you, it asked you to leave, to check a notification, to go heat up some coffee. That is not a lack of focus. That is the confirmation that this encounter between you and this message is bigger than it seems. You did not get here by chance, you were called. And what you are living through today, this anguish, this feeling that something important is passing through your life and you can't grasp it, is just the visible layer. Beneath it, there is a spiritual chessboard where forces are trying to keep you delayed, distracted, and aimless. You are the target, because you were chosen for something greater. That is why the Father prepared the sacred book for you, the 21 days of prosperity and alignment with God. This sacred book is not just a reading, it is the exact map for you to stop skipping the signs God has been sending. In 21 days, it teaches you to recognize the Lord's voice amidst the noise of the world, to unlock the prayers that seem like they won't leave the ground, and to position yourself before the throne to receive what has already been marked with your name since before you were born. The link is in the first comment of the channel, and I need to warn you, this content has already been a target of attempts to silence it. It challenges the empty narratives that the system spreads, and that is why many do not want it to reach you. If you are seeing this now, it's because there is still time. Download it now. Comment below, "I am chosen, and I will download the digital book." This is your act of faith. It is the way to mark in the spiritual realm. I will no longer skip what God sends me. Now that you have decided to act, the next truth I am going to tell you will be the final blow against the enemy who is making you miss the signs. Pay close attention, because what comes next is something most people never hear. There are 3 symptoms that appear in the life of every person who is about to experience something great from God, and I guarantee at least one of them is happening to you this week. The first is the strange fatigue. That tiredness that doesn't go away with sleep, doesn't go away with coffee, doesn't go away with a weekend of rest. You wake up more tired than when you went to bed. Your soul is heavy, and your body is just reacting to it. This fatigue is not physical, it is spiritual. It is the weight of carrying a promise that hasn't been released yet. Do you remember Jacob? He wrestled all night with the angel. When the day dawned, he was exhausted, hurt, limping. But he walked away from there with a new name and a blessing that changed the history of an entire nation. The fatigue was the price of transformation, and today that same fatigue is arriving in your life. You are not sick, you are not weak, you are about to be promoted in the spirit. The second symptom is the feeling that everything is standing still. You pray and it seems like nothing changes. You work hard and the recognition doesn't come. You take care of your family and yet you feel that something is missing. This emptiness scares you because you can't explain it. Everything in your life is apparently fine. You have a home, you have food, you have a family, but inside you there is a hunger that no plate can satisfy. This, my dear friend, is God calling you to another level. When He wants to take you from the place where you are, He first makes that place unbearable, so that you no longer have the courage to stay still. That job that used to serve you now feels tight. That routine that was comfortable now suffocates. Those friendships that seemed sufficient now sound empty. It isn't depression, it is a calling. The third symptom is the most disturbing of all. You start losing things that seemed certain. An opportunity that was going to work out slips away. A relationship that seemed firm crumbles. A plan that was laid out falls apart. And you find yourself wondering, why is God letting this happen to me? I was faithful, I prayed, I obeyed. Why this? I'm going to tell you a hard but necessary truth. When God is about to hand you something great, He first takes away everything that is too small to fit in the new life He has prepared. You are not losing, you are being emptied. Because good things are coming and they won't fit if your hand is still holding on to the old. Stop for a minute and think. How many times in the last few months have you felt at least one of these symptoms? How many times did you think it was just a phase, or the tiredness of age, or the stress of life in America, the bills, the accounts that never stop coming? In reality, it was God knocking on your door. It was a sealed letter with your name waiting for you to recognize it. Look, if you are over 35 years old, pay even closer attention, because this phase of life is exactly when God begins to close the false doors. You have lived long enough to know what you don't want. You have been hurt enough to stop accepting crumbs. You have seen dishonest people rise and good people get beaten down, and precisely because of that, the Lord begins to pull you to another place. Higher, firmer, more of Him. But there is a problem, and that is why I need to alert you now before it's too late. You decided to get this far. You decided not to skip. And look how much has already been revealed. But there is a deeper layer to this story, and it explains why so many people in this country, specifically in that 35, 40, 50-year-old range, live with the feeling that they missed the train of their own lives. It isn't a lack of faith. It isn't a lack of effort. It is a siege that was set up against you since the womb, and that intensifies precisely when you are closest to your promise. The closer you get, the harder the enemy squeezes. And he knows that if you read, hear, and apply what is in the sacred book, 21 Days of Prosperity and Alignment with God, he loses control over your story forever. This sacred book was written as a weapon. It isn't a book for you to read in bed before going to sleep. It is a warfare manual. In each of the 21 days, it places you before a truth that the enemy does not want you to discover. Truths about how God communicates with you daily, even if you don't realize it. Truths about financial blocks that come through spiritual inheritance and that only break with the word. Truths about how to position yourself before God when you are tired, wounded, and without words to pray. Can you imagine waking up 21 days from now feeling peace for the first time in years, being able to clearly discern every sign God sends you, seeing doors opening where before there were only walls? This is the effect this sacred book has produced in the lives of thousands of Americans who have already made the decision not to skip the calling. The link is in the first comment of the channel. I repeat, first comment. Because they have already tried to remove this content, they have already tried to block the promotion. They have already tried to hide it from those who need it most. Platforms do not like it when a spiritual truth of this size begins to spread, but you are seeing it now. That is a miracle in itself. Download it now. Do not leave it for later. Later is the enemy's favorite word. Comment. I am chosen, and I will download the digital book. This comment is not just text. It is a decree. You are declaring in the spiritual realm that you accept the invitation, that you position yourself as a child, that you take possession of what is yours by right. Now that you have sealed your decision, The next truth I will reveal is the final blow against the root cause of everything that has been blocking you, because the symptom is just the tip of the iceberg. What is underneath is much larger, and that is exactly what I am going to show you now, because every pain has a cause, and almost no one wants to talk about it because it is uncomfortable, but I am going to talk about it, because that is why you are here. The cause of you skipping God's signs, of losing opportunities, of living with this feeling that your life is delayed, has three main roots, and I want you to observe yourself while I speak, because at least one of these roots is planted in your soil right now. The first root is spiritual anesthesia. The modern world was built to keep you asleep. You wake up looking at your phone. You have coffee looking at your phone. You drive listening to bad news. You work surrounded by noise. You eat lunch in 15 minutes. You come home tired, throw yourself on the couch, open a short video app and stay there, scrolling, 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 until 1 in the morning. When you sleep, your soul has not rested. It was bombarded all day long. And along the way, God tried to speak several times, but your frequency was muffled. Research shows that the average adult in the West spends more than 9 hours a day connected to screens. 9 hours, almost an entire work shift. And in that time, how much did you set aside to hear God? 5 minutes of prayer in the car, a worship song while you were cooking? It is little. It is very little for a soul that was made for eternity. The second root is held in resentment. And here I need to be direct even if it hurts. You are carrying something. It might be bitterness toward a father who didn't value you, toward a mother who criticized you too much, toward an ex-husband or an ex-wife who betrayed you, toward a sibling who took your inheritance, toward a boss who humiliated you, toward a friend who vanished when you needed them most, toward a church that disappointed you. These unhealed wounds become gates, open gates in your spirit. And through these gates, God cannot fully bless you, not because He doesn't want to, but because everything He pours out leaks out through the open wound. It is like trying to fill a cracked cup with water. No matter how much comes from heaven, it leaks. Do you remember the Lord's Prayer? Forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Forgiveness is not a favor for the one who hurt you. It is the key to release for you. While you hold on to it, you block it. While you let go, heaven descends. And look, I know that forgiving isn't easy. There is pain that takes years to even name. But even the willingness to forgive already opens a massive door in the spirit. The third root is the deepest, and few people have the courage to look at it. It is spiritual inheritance, that which comes from the family, that which no one taught you, but which is in your spiritual DNA. Patterns of poverty that repeat for generations, patterns of destructive relationships, patterns of illness that return every decade, agreements that were made by grandparents or great-grandparents that no one has broken yet. Have you noticed that some problems seem to have a life of their own in your family? That fight between siblings that repeats with every inheritance, that man who always leaves before he's 50, that woman who marries 3 times and is betrayed in all of them, that bank account that grows and then suddenly plummets. It isn't bad luck, it isn't a coincidence, it isn't a lack of effort. It is a spiritual pattern that needs to be broken by the Word, by fasting, by conscious covenant. And here is the beauty of God's plan for you. You were chosen to be the turning point, the person in your lineage who will say, "This far and no further." The curse stops with you. The blessing begins with you. That is a huge responsibility, I know, but it is also the reason God is knocking so hard on your door. He does not choose the equipped, He equips the chosen, and you are one of them. Now think about this. If these are the causes, what is the way out? How do you come out of anesthesia, close the wounds, and break the inherited patterns? Is it possible to do this alone, in the rush of life, between bills, traffic, and a family to care for? I will tell you sincerely, it is difficult. Not impossible, but very difficult. Because you need a method. You need a sequence. You need someone who has already walked this path and marked the stones, so you don't trip on the same traps. And that is exactly why this encounter today is so important. Did you feel a weight just now wanting to pull you away from here again? Did you feel sleepy, distracted, a desire to pick up your phone? That is confirmation. Every time a real word comes close to setting you free, something stirs to stop you. Do not give it the victory. Take a deep breath. Stay with me. That is why the Father prepared the sacred book for you. the 21 Days of Prosperity and Alignment with God. This sacred book is not just a reading. It is the exact sequence, day by day, word by word, prayer by prayer, to pull out by the root each of those 3 causes that are paralyzing you. In the first block, it teaches you to come out of spiritual anesthesia. It gives you daily practices of 5 to 10 minutes that reconnect you with the Father's voice, even in the middle of daily chaos. You will learn to transform traffic into an altar, a meal into communion, work into an offering, without needing to quit anything in your life, just transforming the way you occupy your time. In the second block, it leads you through the path of deep forgiveness. It isn't that superficial forgiveness of "I've moved on." It is the forgiveness that releases in the spirit, that undoes invisible ties, that returns what was stolen. You will write, you will cry, you will surrender, and you will feel the difference in your body, in your breathing, in your sleep. Things that therapy takes years to touch, the anointing releases in days. In the third block, and this perhaps is the most powerful, you break the inherited covenants. Lineage by lineage, pattern by pattern, there is a specific prayer for money, another for relationships, another for health, another for purpose. You will discover that a lot of what you thought was yours was just inheritance that you never refused. And when you refuse it, in the right name, with the right word, at the right time, heaven moves. People change. Doors open. Accounts settle in ways you cannot explain. The link is in the first comment of the channel. I need to be very clear with you now. This sacred book has already caused a stir, a big one. There have already been attempts to take down pages, to remove links, to report posts. Why? Because it challenges the narratives of the system. It takes the person out of the condition of a victim and places them in the condition of a child. It doesn't sell empty prosperity. It delivers a covenant. And a real covenant scares those who benefit from your scarcity. Take advantage now. This moment you are living with a warm heart, with attentive eyes, is a window from heaven. Windows do not stay open forever. Download it now. Comment below this video. I am chosen and I will download the digital book. This decree will resonate in the unseen. It will leave your mouth as a seed and return as a harvest. And oh, before I continue, if this video is touching you, leave your thumbs up below, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon. Because there are messages coming that are directly for you, and the algorithm only delivers them if you take a position. Also comment where you are watching from. I read them, I pray, I give thanks for every name. Now that you have decided to act, the next truth I am going to tell you will be the final blow against the strategy that has made you live in delay. You haven't seen anything yet. Prepare your heart. Solution. This part is the heart of the video. If you skip from here on, you will lose everything. That is why I ask. Sit comfortably, take a deep breath, and come with me until the end. Because now, I'm going to give you the practical, tangible, possible path for you to reverse everything we have been discussing. The first thing you need to understand is that God doesn't speak just once. He speaks several times, in layers, in different forms. When you ignore him the first time, he sends it again and again. But every time you ignore it, the sound gets more muffled. Not because he is giving up on you, but because your spiritual ear is hardening. It is like someone who lives next to a highway. In the beginning, the noise of the trucks is bothersome. After a while, you don't even hear it anymore. It wasn't the noise that vanished. It was your sensitivity that was lost. Therefore, the first step of the solution is to reactivate sensitivity. And this is done in 3 ways. The first is silence. Yes, silence. Not vocal prayer, not worship in your headphones, not a rushed reading of the Bible, but pure silence 5 minutes a day. No phone, no television, no music. Just you, sitting, breathing, waiting. In the beginning, it will be uncomfortable. Your mind will scream, it will jump to 1,000 places. It will remind you of bills, of commitments, of old things. But you stay. You wait, and after a few days, in the middle of that silence, a voice will begin to arrive, gentle, firm, familiar. It is him. The second way is writing. Take a notebook, any little notebook, and start to write down what comes to your heart when you pray. Dreams you had, sensations you felt, people who came to your mind for no apparent reason, words that popped into your head out of nowhere. This is God speaking. When you write it down, you organize it. When you organize it, you recognize patterns. When you recognize patterns, you obey with more clarity. The third way to reactivate sensitivity is fasting. And look, it doesn't have to be radical. You don't need to go 2 or 3 days without eating. Start small, 1 meal, 1 day a week. Fasting doesn't impress God. It impresses your own spirit. When you give up food for the love of Him, you teach your flesh who is in charge. And in that moment, your spiritual frequency rises. You start to pick up things that previously escaped you. The second step of the solution is to close the open gates. Remember the wounds that became doors? You need to close them, one by one. And for that, the path is forgiveness. Not emotional forgiveness. Decree forgiveness. You sit before God, write the name of the person who hurt you and say out loud, I release you, I forgive you, I no longer charge you for anything. I hand everything into the Father's hands. You can cry, you can tremble. It can take time, but in the end you will come out light. And here is a very important detail. The hardest forgiveness of all is self-forgiveness. You need to forgive yourself for the wrong choices, for the marriage that ended, for the upbringing that perhaps wasn't ideal, for the money you lost, for the friendships you burned, for who you were before you truly knew God. This forgiveness is what sets you free the most, because while you condemn yourself, you sabotage yourself, and no one wins a spiritual war against themselves. You are an instrument of God. Treat yourself as such. The third step of the solution is to break the inherited patterns, and here enters the conscious covenant. You stand up as a priest of your family. It might seem bold, but it is a child's right. You speak out loud with authority. I break today every pattern of poverty that came through my father's lineage. I break today every pattern of illness that came through my mother's lineage. I break today every covenant made by ancestors I do not know, but which are limiting my life. In the name of Jesus, it is broken, it is undone, it is cancelled. And afterward you seal it. You declare the new. I am the head and not the tail. I am a blessing and not a curse. I am a child and not a slave. My house serves the Lord. My children serve the Lord. My grandchildren will serve the Lord. You are not just prophesying. You are exercising authority, and heaven recognizes when a child takes a position. The fourth step, and perhaps the most transformative, is anticipated gratitude. You start to give thanks for what you haven't seen yet. You wake up thanking Him for the healing that hasn't arrived yet, for the money that hasn't entered the account yet, for the door that hasn't opened yet, for the marriage that hasn't been restored yet, for the child who hasn't come home yet. You speak as if it were already real, because in the spiritual realm it already is. Faith, my dear friend, is the substance. It is the material with which God builds miracles. And anticipated gratitude is faith in practice. It isn't forcing optimism. It is reminding heaven of the promise. It is pulling into the present time what is already marked for your future. Do this every day, out loud, with eyes closed, with tears running if that's the case. And observe the change in the next 30, 60, 90 days of your life. The fifth step is community. You were not made to walk alone. Even if your family doesn't understand you, even if your church has disappointed you, even if your friends don't comprehend this spiritual phase you are living, seek fellowship. It could be 2 or 3 people. It could be online. It could be in the neighborhood. But have people with whom you pray, with whom you talk about what God has been doing, with whom you cry when you need to. Spiritual loneliness is the enemy's favorite door. Real fellowship is your protection. The sixth step is generosity. And here many people get stuck, so I want to speak to you carefully. Generosity is not giving what you don't have. It isn't getting into debt. It isn't giving away your house. Generosity is flow. It is letting go so that heaven can descend. You can start small. $1 given on the street with intention. A coffee paid for someone who didn't expect it. A word of sincere praise for someone who is down. When you become a channel, the river passes through you. When you get clogged, the river seeks another path. There is a spiritual principle that few people understand, and it explains why so many faithful people still live in a tight spot. A blessing needs an open channel. If your channel of generosity is closed, the blessing tries to enter, but finds no way to flow. Open the faucet. Start small, but start. And watch God move. The seventh step, which closes everything, is a daily decision. These 7 steps I gave you don't work if you do them for one day and stop. They work when they become a routine. That is why the 21 days are so important. There is science behind this. Studies on behavior show that 21 days is the average time for a new pattern to fix itself in the brain. And in the spirit, it is similar. 21 days of consistency change your life forever. And look, I know what you might be thinking right now. Okay, but how am I going to manage to do this alone? Who will remind me? Who will guide me day by day? Who will help me know which prayer to say at which moment? That is the right question. And it is exactly because of that question that today's encounter does not end here. That is why the Father prepared the sacred book for you, the 21 Days of Prosperity and Alignment with God. This sacred book is not just a reading. It is your daily guide, day by day, for the next 21 days. You open it, read it, execute it. On the first day, it teaches you silence the right way. On the second, it leads you in spiritual writing. On the third, it takes you to your first gentle fast. In the following days, it accompanies you in forgiveness, in breaking patterns, in anticipated gratitude, in fellowship, in generosity, until you reach the 21st day. And on the 21st day, you stand up as a different person. People who applied this sacred book report things that seem like fiction, debts that were resolved without logical explanation, tumors that vanished, children who returned home after years, marriages restored in situations that seemed impossible, job opportunities that arose out of nowhere, dreams that finally made sense. It isn't magic, it is covenant activated. It is a child taking possession of what was theirs. The link is in the first comment of the channel. I need to warn you for the last time, this sacred book is a target. There is opposing force. There are people who do not want it to reach your hands. Platforms have already tried to limit it. Videos have been taken down. Comments have been deleted. The fact that you are seeing this now is pure grace. It is an open window. And open windows close fast. Download it now. There is no tomorrow. There is no next week. There is no when there is extra money. Because there will be extra money precisely when you obey. Comment below, I am chosen and I will download the digital book. This is not just a comment. It is a decree. It is your signature in the invisible. It is the yes that heaven was waiting for. Now that you have decided to act, the next truth I am going to tell you will be the final blow against the lie that has stolen the most from you in recent years. Come with me until the very last second of this video, because what comes now, no one has told you yet. The biggest lie that has robbed you is this, the lie that you are late, that your time has already passed, that with the age you have, with the life you've led, with the mistakes you've made, God has already chosen someone else to take your place. This is the biggest lie of all time, and it paralyzes millions of people over 35 daily. Look at the Bible. Abraham was 75 years old when he received the call. Moses was 80 when he liberated a people. Sarah had a child at 90. Caleb conquered a mountain at 85. David became king after years of being hunted. Peter sank in the water, denied Jesus 3 times, and yet still became the rock of the church. Paul persecuted Christians before becoming the greatest apostle in history. There is no age, there is no past, there is a calling, and yours has not been cancelled. You are not late, you are being matured. Every tear you cried was kept. Every sleepless night was counted. Every injustice you suffered was noted. And none of that will be wasted. Everything becomes raw material at the right time. The difference between the tired child and the promoted child is just obedience in the present time. Therefore now, today, before closing this video, do one thing for yourself. Stop delaying. Download the sacred book. Start the first day tomorrow. In 21 days, you will not be the same person. And a year from now, looking back, you will remember this exact moment as the point where everything turned around. Subscribe to the channel. Leave your like. Share this with that person you know needs to hear this word. Comment your city, your prayer, your pain, your victory. I read them, and I intercede. Every name arrives, and remember, the link to the sacred book, 21 Days of Prosperity and Alignment with God, is in the first comment of the channel. Also, comment the decree. I am chosen, and I will download the digital book. Seal with your word what heaven has already sealed with your story. May the peace of the Lord fill your house tonight. May your family be covered. May your finances be unlocked. May your dreams be realized above what you asked, above what you thought. In the name of Jesus, amen. And until our next encounter, because it is already scheduled,